How do you like the new setup with fall ball? Whereas back in the day, uh, you're just scrimmaging mostly each other. But how do you like it? Do you think it helps acclimate the new roster, the new people joining your program? Getting a road game, getting some innings in with them before the February start. Because we know once the winter breaks over, it's go time. It's practice. It's February. Then the season flies.
Yeah, it's great. I love those fall games. There was a push by coaches to get 8 of those fall games so we could do it as much as possible. I think it didn't pass this go around. They're talking about 4 fall games, 8 fall games. I think just being able to see your players compete against the different uniforms is really important because it shows things that aren't shown in inter squad games. And so I love it. I think it's important. We try to make it as challenging as humanly possible. We went on the road twice. You obviously could sit at home and maybe play a lesser opponent or someone that was willing to travel to your place and be a little bit more comfortable and not get back from Wake at 2 a.m. and drive on buses and eat burrito boxes. But I think in general, it's just an incredible opportunity for your guys to gain experience. So I want to play the best competition and something that simulates something that we do in the spring, which is travel and buses and road trips and having to perform when maybe you're tired or you had a late night. But yeah, if we could play the New York Yankees on the road in the fall, I would certainly choose to do that.
And coach, real quick, last year there was a lot of speculation and talk about the Big 12 conference in general. You lost two great programs, Texas and Oklahoma. Respect to them. However, even me, I was shocked. I thought only 6 teams would get in the tournament. Y'all turn around, y'all get 8 teams in the tournament and get a team to the College World Series. You are one of the teams that have been in the Big 12, over a decade, coach, versus the some of the newcomers. How do you feel about the depth of the Big 12 and how impressed were you, with your league, last year?
The depth is crazy, and when you add teams like Arizona, Arizona State, UCF, Houston, and these major markets with incredible recruiting bases, you're just going to have really high quality teams. I don't think it's a stretch. Like when you start looking at those teams and how college sports in general is trending, um, Big 12 teams are going to have the resources necessary to compete at a high level. So I think in the future, having 10 Big 12 teams is not a stretch. You just have these historic programs, and then you have really, really good coaching. And there's only so many teams that are operating at the level that the Big 12's operating at with scholarships and revenue share and NIL opportunities. And kids are just starting to go there. And with the flexibility of what the transfer portal offers to some of these guys, you're going to see these larger name schools probably continue to accumulate the best talent. And so it doesn't surprise me at all, day in and day out. Just any time that you show up on a weekend, if you don't play well, you're going to get beat. You have to play really, really great baseball to perform at a high level. And so those teams that we added potentially made us deeper, and it's a true national conference at this point. It's coast to coast.
Absolutely, I agree with you, coach. And then you have the legendary programs like the Texas Tech and the TCU's. So, and you guys, I mean, Kansas State was right there a couple of years ago on the doorstep of the College World Series. I remember in 2024, you guys were about to upset an ACC team. So it's a great conference, and I've grown to have a lot of respect for it. Last question, coach, and I'm gonna ask you a fun one before I get out of here. I don't know what's going on with this World Series. I tried to stay up for the 18 inning game. I think I made it to about the 12th, and I was done. And I'm on West Coast time, coach. But who does Coach have winning this World Series and in how many games, man?
I got to take the Jays in 7. My kids are rooting for Sam White, even though he's not on the club. We had a ton of fun when Alec Manoa. He was kind of one of the very first players that we feel really transformed our program when he chose West Virginia. He was very early on in my career. He led us to our first hosting of a regional since 1955. In 2019, he was a junior that was signed first round, and he went to the Jays. And so that was a kind of a monumental change in our program, and I was able to go up and watch him pitch for the Jays in Toronto. It's 6 hours from Morgantown. We recruit a ton of Canada. So I gotta root for those guys because I just think it's gritty. They play for their country. There's some resemblance stuff to West Virginia where it's like this state, everybody roots for WVU, and it feels like when you're playing the Dodgers, right? Like everybody's an underdog when you're playing the Dodgers and you're talking about their payroll. So it's just hard for me to not root for the Jays. And so, fired up about those games, and I think they're probably pretty massive underdogs when it comes to the money line. But I'm pretty. I think the Jays got a good shot.
Yeah, I'm a Phillies fan, so I'm with you, Coach. I couldn't believe they shut down Harper. And some of the lineup we had great pitching from Duran this year, and I was just like, you got to be kidding me. We win all these games, and then we lose. Schwarber's doing good in the lineup. I couldn't believe it, but yeah, I'm with you on that, Coach. You have a phenomenal facility out there in Morgantown, West Virginia. Thanks for the time, Coach. Best of luck to everything coming up in the spring. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Final question, Ryan. We'll go to you. All right, so Steve, just did want to ask you about the schedule for this upcoming year a little bit. You got Maryland back on the slate this season.